I don't know how easily available these were for everybody, but today's the day that they dropped. And I just hope that everybody that wanted a pair was able to smoothly secure one. Hey, what's going on, guys? My name's Chris. Welcome back to the official WearTesters.com YouTube channel. Today, we have a detailed look and breakdown on these beautiful things right here. Oh, man, these are awesome. This is the Nike Air Force 1 Low, designated as a quick strike release, AKA the Kobe's. Although if you were looking on sneakers, it would just say Varsity Maize and Varsity Purple, but we all know what this is. Now, before we break down these bad boys, we do have a quick word from today's sponsor, and that's the good folks over at Bombas. As of late, I have been wearing and absolutely loving their quarter cut vintage style socks. They're super comfortable for everyday wear and feature great performance features such as the seamless toe, a honeycomb arch support system, Y-stitched heel, as well as a cushioned footbed. They look great with all of my retro sneakers, and the best part is that every pair purchased equals one pair donated, while standing firmly behind their 100% happiness guarantee. So now that we're in the gift giving season, you can feel good and do good with Bombas. And by the way, they have other things outside of just socks, like their Sunday slipper. And yes, these still apply for the one pair purchased equals one pair donated. So if you're interested in trying out Bombas, you can use our link down below in the description box or the QR code that you see here. And if you're a new customer to Bombas, make sure that you use our promo code that you see right here on the screen, and it'll save you 20% off your very first purchase. And with that being said, this is the box right here. This box is awesome. And yes, it's still basic. It's just a normal lid box or whatever it is that you want to call it, but it's got lots of Mamba-isms all over it. Not only is it done up in white, but they've got the snake scales everywhere. You also have the sheath logo on the size label. You've got a gold little like finger pull tab, and then they are double papered, if that's a term, I don't know. They're wrapped twice. Once in Kobe paper, which I don't think I've ever seen before.
It feels new.
Yeah, it feels new, so I like this. But either way, gold logos, snake scales, and then when you lift that, just standard paper. Then when you lift that, well, there's more paper. And then the awesomeness. Now these right here are just a really cool release to see because we're going back into that whole PE thing that we've been talking about periodically. So like if we want to go back fairly recently to the Royal Foamposites, while those weren't a PE, it was an original promo sample that they used in the basic white splash page Nike ad, the one that just simply has the shoe, the swoosh, and then a phone number to call. But we've had lots of PEs from Jordan Brand recently and Nike alike, so I think that this is really cool. This is a little bit different than what Kobe actually wore on court, but I still think that it's like good enough, especially in the terms of like, if people want to wear this for lifestyle, do they really want to wear some mids? I don't think so. They prefer the lows. And also, I was going to go over the history, but I was, reading through the sneakers description, and I don't know who wrote this, but I just want to say, great job, man. Like, this is a perfect item description, and I'm glad that it's with this shoe, because if it's gonna be with anything, it should be with something with some history to it. And they didn't like slack on anything. They gave you all the details that you need. No fluff, no fake stories, none of that stuff. It was awesome. And I really want to just read it word for word, but that'd be weird. So I'll give you the Cliff Notes version. Obviously, if you wanted to go over there, you could read it. But basically, this shoe is from the 2002 and 2003 time frame. And for Kobe fans, that's known as the sneaker free agency era. Now, per the sneakers description, this is the part that I was actually surprised with. They specifically stated that he bought out his original contract with, the other guys. Those other guys being the Three Stripes. He was super unhappy with the product that he was getting. So if you guys noticed during their three-peat championship run, Shaq and Kobe, the dynamic duo, all that stuff, for every finals run, he wore the same shoe, which was the original, the Kobe. Not the KB series. Those were cool too, but I'm talking about the Kobe. These guys. And it's weird that he wore those because he was wearing the Kobe 2 throughout those other seasons, and he still would just go back to the Kobe during the playoff and finals time frame. So it was really interesting to see that like somebody was being kind of picky with their footwear when maybe that wasn't really a thing back then. But either way, by the time they got to the Kobe 3, they never released. The model was scrapped. I don't know if it's because that shoe killed Kobe's love for the Adidas products, or if it was the shoe before it, which was the Kobe 2, which is actually getting a retro pretty soon, so that's kind of funny. Maybe they'll be well received now, I don't know. But either way, he bought out his contract, but there is a clause that you can't go and sign a new contract, and I think it was within a year's time frame or one full season, I can't remember. And so that was the era, that 2002 to 2003 time frame, where again, he was the sneaker free agent. He was wearing all kinds of stuff, from And One products to Jordan products to Nike products, even Reebok. And a lot of those have released in some form or another. But either way, one of Kobe's favorite shoes is the Air Force One. He's been known to wear those both on and off court. So it's just been very cool to see like the history actually being told properly on sneakers. So yeah, high five. Now the way that these look are made up just like his actual PE that he wore. The only difference again is that those were mid tops. But either way, they've basically chopped the top down just a little bit. So they are almost a 1-for-1 recreation of the mids, minus some color variations. I don't think that the yellow on the originals were quite this vibrant. I think they were a little more goldish. But either way, this is cool. So if you're looking at the outsole right here, it does kind of look familiar if you're gonna compare it to something like, I don't know, the Air Jordan 1, even though this came first, all the way back in 1982. Believe it or not, this is actually Nike's first air-based basketball product as well. So when you move up from that traction, you do have a full rubber cup sole, but like it states right here on the back, there's air in there. Not just any kind of air either, it's full length. It's awesome. It's a little bit different than what you would think though, like if we're thinking in terms of the Air Jordan 11, where I usually use this as an example, like a visual example, even though they're not the same air units, and that is the case here as well, where it's not this style of air sole unit, but it is similar. The only main difference is that it's not directly underneath the strobel like it would be in something like the Air Jordan 11, at least the modern Air Jordan 11. The Air Force One actually has poured polyurethane in there, and poured polyurethane air sole units are typically just like this, but instead of having this open cavity right there, they actually pour liquid polyurethane on top. It fills the cavity completely, so it's a smooth, seamless surface. Not only that, but it does provide a little bit of extra cushion as well, which I think is really cool. So if you were to ever wear an Air Force One, while they're not all created equal, some are made pretty cheaply and some do feel like bricks, but sometimes they are actually really comfortable. This being one of those times. When I put these on, I was like, dang, I haven't worn a pair of Air Forces in a hot minute. These are nice. So yeah, that's why sometimes if you pull out, you know, or take apart an original pair of Air Force Ones, original pair of Air Jordan 1s, or an original pair of Air Jordan 11s, and you just see everything crumbling and deteriorating, it's not just the airbag itself, it's also the polyurethane that's completely broken down and crumbled. Now this insole that's sitting on top of everything is really interesting because this is not a typical Air Force One like cheap insole. This is actually a performance insole. This is what they used to use in performance basketball shoes back in the day. So this is a thicker insole. Is this going to be an identical insole to what Kobe actually wore in the shoe? It's possible. I wouldn't say identical, but it's still possible that this is closer to what he wore, or at least what came in it. But it's also possible that he wore a custom orthotic. I actually don't know. That would be a fun fact to know. I don't know about that. I know about a lot of people's custom orthotics, but not his. So maybe he didn't wear them. But either way, this is a firmer EVA. It's very nice. It's very structured. It's not floppy. Okay, so that's really cool. You got a little bit of an arch pad right there. That's awesome. I love the top liner, and then they got the Kobe Sheath logo right there at the bottom. Both insoles are identical, by the way, so there's not like a different graphic on one or the other. Moving on up though, the upper right here is much nicer than the standard Air Force One, even though they do make a plethora of different versions of the Air Force One, especially nowadays, much like the Nike Dunk, where there's some really, really bad ones, but there are a lot of decent ones as well. The PRMs, you know what I mean? The premiums and stuff like that. This is more along that side. I'm not gonna say that the leather is premium, but geez, it's soft as I like this. This reminds me of my Air Forces that you bought me back in the day. Remember when I needed new work shoes? Mm-hmm. And that was like I think it was my birthday gift. Oh, you bought me a different birthday gift.
Yeah.
You bought me, it's gonna be hard to find, but
I know, it's hard every time it gets brought up.
Yeah. That was you. That was you. But it's this Jordan shoe right here. She bought it for me. I wasn't like a huge fan of it. And so we went to go exchange them or return them.
Well, you have to explain the story properly.
Really, why?
You took me into, it was called Copeland's or Sports Chalet or something.
It was one of those. It wasn't It could have been Copeland's. It was in the mall. It was in Valley Fair.
Yes, and you...
It was before Sports Authority.
It was like a big box store,
right?
And they have all the shoes sitting up top.
It was my favorite place to go because you didn't have to bother any of the employees. You could just try on shoes.
And obviously, you can tell it was the turn of the century, the millennia. So like chrome was the color at the time. And you walked me down an aisle of all Jordans, and they were all white with silver or gray.
I showed her the Flint Gray 12s.
Yes.
And I was like, I really want these. Like,
but right
next to them were these, the Team Jordan. You know what I mean? You know that meme where like you're like,
I was grandma.
Yeah, make sure your mom gets you the right Legend Blues. You know what I'm saying? It was that. So yeah, so I went to return them with permission.
I insisted. You were like, no, I'll keep them. And I was like, they're not what you wanted. Like, let's go back and get what you wanted.
Right. And then when we got there, I don't remember if they just didn't have it, or we just were too cheap to afford the extra cost.
Yeah.
I think it's that one.
I was still in high school. So.
I was on my own. Yeah, I was in a studio apartment, barely able to afford rent, and I needed new work shoes because my old work shoes they had holes in the bottom. They were obliterated. So I opted to buy an Air Force One with the exchange, which was an Air Force One high. They did have gum bottoms, but they were all black everything else. So I was able to barely get away with it with work because the work dress code was all black polishable shoes. And I did not like hard bottoms. So yeah, that's how I ended up with a pair of Air Force Ones. They were super comfortable and I wore them for years. And this leather right here really reminds me of those. So again, while I'm sure it's not quite as nice as that shoe was, because that was a different era and a different time, for what you're getting, it's not bad. You know what I mean? I like it. I really like the swoosh though. The swoosh feels awesome. It feels very thick, although I will say it's because it's double layered. So you got the yellow and the purple. But still, when you look at that, you're like, dang, that's a big boy right there. I like that. On the tongue tag, it's awesome. Not only is it a nylon tongue, which is standard for an Air Force One, and so is the patch that you see where it just simply says Nike Air Force One on there. But right underneath it, it's got a little X with a line and Kobe's signature on there, which I assume is them really pointing reference towards him signing with the brand. Now, was that on the original mid-top? I'm not sure. I would love to know. I don't think it would be, but that'd be a cool, like, bold move by Nike being like, yeah, just sign right here. Now, behind the tongue, on the same tongue tag, is actually the Kobe logo, so I like that as well. And then my favorite part is actually on the heel tabs, where on the left shoe, it's got Kobe's number 8, and then on the right shoe, it's got Kobe's Shield logo. And I just think that this looks awesome. Like, this is such a cool thing to see, like, to have it release. Again, I just hope that it is available for everyone. They do go down to like pretty low sizes, and then they do go up pretty high in sizes, so that's nice. But are they going to be attainable? Not sure. Now, as far as sizing is concerned, with Air Force Ones, especially the lows, I personally like to go down half a size. So that is what I would recommend for most, especially if you have a narrow or normal foot. If you have a super wide foot, go true to size, you should be good to go. And in terms of availability, obviously we know that they're going to be available over at Sneakers, but if you're not sure about where they're going to be in store and you happen to be located in the Sacramento area, make sure that you hit up Phenom, located in the Doco Shopping Center. They're going to have them full size run. It's going to be awesome. And before I forget, they do come with 3 sets of laces. Obviously they come equipped with the white, but in addition to that, they come with purple and the gold.
Maize.
Varsity Maize. Now, with all that being said, what is today's question of the day?
Name your favorite Christmas colorways. Grinches do not count.
But that's like the best one.
And
like,
they know that everybody's gonna say that. They want variety.
They want variety. Look, man, sometimes the goat's just the goat. Like, that is the greatest Christmas colorway of all time.
I thought you were gonna say the stained glass.
That is a close second, but that's the funny thing about that shoe, the Kobe 8 Christmas. There was 2 of them because it lasted that long throughout the calendar year, to where the stained glass was the one Christmas, and then by the time the next Christmas came around, they were still on that model. It was so weird. I love the stained glass. I don't love the other ones. Sorry, I gotta Google it. The LeBron 10s, those were fire. That shoe is just awesome. That came out alongside the stained glass Kobe 8s. The LeBron 9 Christmas, which is technically the same colorway. I love those too. Those look great. I guess this is a haha kind of moment, but the LeBron 20 Christmas, which was kind of like the Grinches, they look good. So yeah, I think that's it. Was the Reverse Grinch a holiday release?
Came out around the holidays.
Okay, so I'll throw those in too. But that also is the same color as the bronze. It's just red with green laces. You know what I mean? So I like things simple, you know. I do like a good theme, but like if it's themed, it's got to be super clean, super simple. But what about you guys? If you had your pick, but apparently, are you sure we can't? It's the best one.
They literally said in brackets, no Grinches.
That's a dick move, dude. You can't pick the Kobe 6 Grinches, but out of all the other, you know, Christmas themed colorways from any brand, if you wanted to give me like a top 3, that'd be cool. Maybe even top 5. There's not that, I don't think there's that many, but maybe you feel different. Sound off below and let me know. Thank you guys so much for being here. Thank you so much for watching. We greatly appreciate your guys' support. We will catch you guys in the next one. So until then, y'all have a good one.